Hello, everyone, and welcome to session 4 of the Foundation. We did off camera, starting a little bit late. We just wanted to do a quick recap so we could just jump right into things and, save you guys the effort of a massive recap. But for really quickly, for the folks at home, the battle has just been won against the people of Kingsgift and a raiding group known as the Bronze Fang Crew. They capture the leader, who they are going to question aggressively, and the other individuals have either been taken into holding, they've been stripped of their weapons, and now the population of Kingsgift has a little bit more in the realm of ways to defend themselves. As the battle has been done and cleanup had begun, a lone messenger had come in from the east on a horse that has been injured. She is almost laying on her horse, completely exhausted, malnourished, tired, injured. And it is when we pick up that she is basically falling into Iskandar's arms, and she looks up to say something for just a moment, and then just passes out. Iskandar holding her. Running towards the group of you, saying, "Get me some air! Get me some air! Get me a healer! Somebody!"
Leopold would. He was probably talking with one of the other men as this rider comes thundering in, and he immediately moves towards Iskander, and he sees the injured woman. He sees the arrows that are still stuck in her leg and back. Lay her down. I'll see what I can do.
And he places her down gently, and he's kind of like brushing the hair out of her face, as it's kind of a mess, and kind of just looking up at you. And
so Leopold would quickly. There's no measure of caution to his actions. He reaches down, grabs really close to where the arrow sticking out of her thigh is, and he just pulls it out. And right after he does that with his other hand, he rests it across, and he starts to murmur a quiet prayer to the Raven Queen. And there's this glow. It's like this kind of this faint yellowish, almost like a pale yellow glow. And when he removes his hand, the arrow wound has sealed itself. It's still like this puckered, kind of this puckered scar. And then he rolls her over and repeats the process in her back. And he would look at his clan. Oh my God, how do you say his name? Iskander?
Yeah, Iskandar.
I keep wanting to say call him Iskander, but it's Iskander. So he looks at Iskander and says, "This woman, it's exhaustion that has caused her to lose consciousness. We must let her rest." And he would just stand and say, "I have done all that I can now."
And Iskandar kind of just waves his hand, and a pair of guardsmen show up, and he kind of points and talks to the guardsman, gets them to kind of get this woman a room. and they kind of like pick her up very gently, kind of in a stretcher, and they take her up into the inn. Iskandar looks back at the three of you. Right. So I don't know what that was all about, but let's figure out what's going on in her saddle. And he walks over to the horse, grabs it by the bit, and leads it back towards you guys.
If she came in with arrows in her, then maybe it's someone else coming behind her. We should have some sort of an advance guard go out and do a little bit of scouting in that direction.
We can send Talrath. He's the best in the woods and knows this area well. He's fleet of foot and keen of eye. And I'll like look over to see him out and like just will nod and he'll slip away to take care of that.
Thank you. Be good to know if anything else is coming.
You need aid, Benjamin. You're sorely wounded. Sir Leopold, can you do something for him?
He kind of spits out a little bit of blood. Like, no, I suppose that probably would be for the best.
Yeah. Leopold maybe and hadn't realized how injured Benjamin was with the fighting just recently ending. And he would walk up. He would just kind of inspect your wounds, and your worst ones he would lay his hands upon. And again, you would see that pale yellow light. You would feel it, Benjamin. It's like this searing pain as it burns through you. And you can feel your flesh being knitted back together. I'll heal you for, I have 10 more hit points remaining for lay of hands for the day.
And he'll bite a piece of leather and kind of try to muffle a bit of a scream as you do that, you know, anticipating it, having had it before, and give you a nod afterwards as he kind of wipes some of the blood away from his chin.
Then he would just finish. He would look at his handiwork, and then he'd look at you, and he'd say, "Make sure you get rest, eat, drink some water."
Water. And he kind of laughs at that and heads towards the inn.
As you do. So, as more people, kind of begin crowding around, a guardsman grabs the horse and begins to kind of lead it toward the stables. Trying to help the horse kind of walk it off. And this individual is fairly good with animals. He usually sticks around the stables in general, like caring for the animals and stuff. This individual is Dundas Rowe. He says, "Don't worry, I will take care of this horse quite well for you, I promise, lords. If there's anything I can do, please, I will. Do you wish me to search it or just walk it?"
Leopold would just look at him and say, "Walk the horse. Check it for any." Because if I remember correctly from the one shot, we tried to keep our identities. We got rid of anything that was identifying, I believe.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, you guys took any badges or any information.
Yeah, so he would just say, "Go over the horse, check the saddle, see, look for any marking."
Yes, Lord. And he leads the horse to the stables and kind of brushes it down, kind of checks over the wounds, and everything pertaining to the animal's health. So you guys do gain a horse, yet another one. So the inside the inn, a lot of townsfolk are kind of inside concerned. A few of the guardsmen have very minor injuries, and they're being seen to kind of by each other. Each one's kind of performing a little bit of first aid. There's no grievous injuries. The 10 guardsmen just seem okay. It's just like small lacerations, a few bruises, nothing bad. I mean, you guys wipe the bloody floor with them. So that's always a good thing. And basically the scene is that of somewhat chaos. Like, some of the townsfolk are like really concerned, or, they don't, it's kind of a thing that, generally this doesn't happen all too often. Raiders don't generally go in and like attack towns. The one guardsman that you've dealt with the most, Edmund, he comes down the stairs. Lords, we put her in her own room, but well, we found this in her pocket. Don't know if you want to be looking at this. And he hands you a letter, or at least a folded piece of paper, and it has a wax seal with a royal, kind of the royal seal stamped into it. And he goes and he hands it to you, Thankmar.
Is it broken or still sealed?
It is. You know what? I'm going to roll. Let's roll. It is still sealed.
This woman could be a royal messenger. At the very least, someone of import to carry something with the regal writ. I'll hold on to this in case she never awakens, but for now it will remain sealed. How long do you think she'll be out, Leopold?
By my best guess, what time of day is it, Mike?
I'd say it's probably around early afternoon.
Early evening at best. We could probably try rousing her. She looked as though that, and by the looks of the horse, it was ridden hard. The injury has not helped that matter much. I would not want to push it too much for fear that her condition would worsen. So later this evening.
We'll get a couple of guards to stand station over her room.
Okay. And they both nod their heads and kind of go up the stairs, and they're off to do what they're doing.
Can we get Iskander to stay with the woman in case she wakes up and tells him anything?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, Iskander, nods his head and kind of just briefly mentions that, he'll see what he can do to maybe try and get her roused a bit earlier. Generally using any type of herbology from the, from his elven knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So
he may have something important. I'll tell him. If she does wake, learn what she can. We'll be with the prisoners.
So he goes upstairs, nods his head, and you just quietly hear the sound of the door closing. Edmund kind of like watches him for a moment and looks back at you, Thankmar. The prisoners, they're I mean, most of them are not too happy, but they're behaving, at least as far as I'm concerned. None of them have tried to fight or anything like that. I think they know that they've been beaten. And you making that little display out of a few of the more cocky ones have really put the bit and brindle into their mouths. So I kind of shut them up. Yeah, I think they're willing to listen. If you lot are willing to talk.
Yeah, I want them to talk. That's where I want to go now. I think we should stop and grab Benjamin before he drinks his blood too thin and bleeds out from those wounds.
That's fine.
But yeah, I want to go question the prisoners and find out all I can about the Bronze Fang crew and why they're working for the Perfumed Man, and anything I can find out about the Perfumed Man to get his identity.
Sure. So as you
the evening. Sorry.
No worries. So yeah, as you guys go, you just basically go behind where the where the barkeep would stand, lifting up a trap door in that area. You guys head down. You see various like kegs of different sizes. Most of them are empty. A few of them still are full. There's a few pony kegs as well. A few like just small little, kind of little casks of varying different ales and a few different wines. And no, Benjamin, you can't have your room here. So as you go down, most of them are kind of chained together, or some even like just tied together. A lot of them are just sitting down, not saying a word. Quite a few of them, their heads are down. A few of them are looking up at you, not with any sort of like venom or hatred. They're just looking up at you, wondering what you want to do or what you're going to do.
I'll address the prisoners, make sure I've got their attention. And then tell them that I require knowledge, like I said before, about the Perfumed Man, who he could be, who spoke with him on behalf of the Bronze Fang crew, where they've been lairing, how they've been surviving in this elf-ridden, forested, rough country.
And after as soon as he finishes saying that, Benjamin will step forward and he'll say, "And we'll start the easy way. The first one to offer us the information we seek gets a hot meal and a nice drink."
So at first, there's a bit of a lull. They're all looking at each other, and you hear one of them speak up. So if we tell you what you need to know, do we all get a hot meal?
Well, we'll see. The first one to give us the information we're looking for may be the one.
And the amount of information will determine how many extra meals.
Once we have everything useful, well, let's just say we have a lot of oatmeal.
You'll all be fed. If we hear no lies.
All right. Fine. Yeah. So, don't know. We were staying up near Lake Vita, as you do, with a camp out up there, and we were just told to raid. I mean, merchants mostly, and I don't know, just make the elves look bad.
And who told you to do that?
Well, Xander. I mean, he did. I'm assuming he's dead. And yeah, I mean, he would meet with this fella.
Did any of you meet with him as well? Or was it always just Xander alone with this Perfumed Man?
He wouldn't trust us to go with him.
He was
He'd
wise.
He would always ride up north, go meet him. Usually in the dead of night, he would come back. We would get instructions what to do, and yeah, then we'd do it. And that was basically it. Don't know, Xander changed a lot. He used to be good leader during the war, but then he's changed. I mean, don't know, he was given a sword, a really nice one. And he was given some sort of a pendant. And after that, I don't know, things changed.
The pendant he speaks of, do we liberate that from Xander?
Yes.
Cool.
You are currently wearing it, and you have it like tucked away, so it's not, so they can't really see it.
It's mine.
My precious. So
has anyone else got anything more to say?
Another one stands up. What else do you want to know? I mean, it's what we did. It's what we just try and scare up some folk. The main thing was we were just told to make the elves look bad.
Leopold's at the back of the room, kind of listening to Benjamin and Thankmar. They're doing a very competent job, I think, of getting the information we need. But he would pipe up. He would ask, I know you say that you lot never met with the perfumed man. Where would he meet? Where would your master meet him?
The first one pipes up again. Don't know. I mean, like I said, we were camped up near Lake Vita in the north. Then he would ride north.
How long? So he interrupts him and says, "How long?"
Well,
From when he left to when he came back.
I don't know, maybe an hour or so, maybe 2. It depended. I mean, the watch always changed, so I mean, none of us really asked a lot of questions. One did. He's dead. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say it's anywhere between an hour and 2 hours from when he left to when he come back.
So somewhere close to Lake Vita. Some of us could go there and scout that out. That's something at least.
Yeah. So, other than that, I mean, the perfumed man always made sure that we had food and other bits. I mean,
what type of food? Any kind of identifiable or local produce?
We usually had salted beef. That was nice. Vegetables, some potatoes, some other things. I mean, just whatever we needed to keep ourselves fed.
Liquor. Bandits require the greasing of liquor.
No, not always. I mean, some of us tried to get some. I mean, if we were able to get some from merchants and whatnot, we would. But the perfumed man he didn't
supply you any.
No, and he didn't really want us to drink, which I thought was a bit weird. He wanted us to. He said, "Stay sharp." It's just ridiculous.
I'll look to Brom and Benjamin to see if they have any further questioning for these men.
As our eyes meet, you would just see Leopold to just do a slight shake of his head.
Yeah, Benjamin will also He'll shake his head for a moment, and then he'll pause for just a moment and make note of the one that spoke up first, and then I'm gonna walk to the closest guard and let him know to give that one an extra, like a better meal than the others.
Give them all a decent plate of food and a drink. I'll say quietly to Benjamin, or like see that it's that they have that, which might seem strange.
But Benjamin will play along with that. He kind of gets what you're going at there. So just let the guard know.
Yeah, guard nods his head, goes upstairs, and just starts getting together plates of food and some drinks and whatnot.
Do we have any deaths, any casualties, like fatal casualties from the fighting?
You know what? You actually don't. Other than the fact that there were like a few like bumps and bruises. Like my rolling was terrible, so terrible in that session that you guys just steamrolled over a larger force.
You got Dennis.
I got Dennis completely. So
okay, in that case, I want to like let word be passed around to the people of Kingsgift that there'll be fire and feast at sunset in like the center of the settlement or the outpost, where we'll drink to victory.
Excellent. And
there's a tree. I'd like to set ropes from it, if not construct like some form of rude gallows with which to systematically execute all of those bandits publicly, and give thanks to the Raven Queen, who deigned that death was not this day for any of the blessed of Kingsgift. And here is ever the fate of bandits, murderers, and traitors to the realm.
Well, all right then.
So we're gonna kill all these dudes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
give the people bread and justice.
Okay.
Oh, I got nothing. I don't know what to say. Yeah. But Benjamin seems uncomfortable with this, but doesn't know exactly how to counter it.
Well, there probably would be like an exchange between Leopold and Thankmar, as he maybe shares that part of his plan. And it probably starts something like, do you think that the wisest choice, the wisest course? I see the rationale behind it, but the fear that it settles in my mind is we don't want to be tyrants. We want people to know that there will be law, but just law. These men.
That's why I'm doing this.
Let me finish, pray.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I love that you cut me off. Listen, these men. I don't know if you saw the same men that I did. These simple men, just trying to live. It was not long ago that I too might have been one of them, if not for change of fortune, finding the blessings of the Raven Queen. I will not stand in the way of your judgment, but I fear that we might be setting down a road that we will not so easily be able to turn from. Would we not want to let people know that we have justice, but it's fair justice? Wouldn't it be better to bring these men back into the path of righteousness? Lawful men. Let them prove themselves. Let them labor here in Kingsgift.
Would you tell that to the widows of the merchants they've slain, or the orphans of the wanderers they've robbed and brutalized?
I would. I am not free of sin myself, and I would have someone judge me on my actions now, not the man I was. Again, I trust your judgment, Thankma. I am just giving you counsel.
I thank you for it. Your words are wise.
I must lend my voice in agreement. I think that a chance at redemption is it's a necessary thing. I mean, the good guys are just the bad guys who never got caught. We could give them a chance to try again. I know I've been given plenty. Actually, I have a kind of an idea. And with that, Benjamin reaches into a pouch at his pocket in his side, and whispers a quiet thing, and he shifts his appearance into that of Xander. We've met Xander, right? Yeah, and we heard him talk a bit. So he'll shift his appearance, and he'll begin to mimic Xander's voice. With the awesome actor feat that I just picked up, and he'll just say, "I think perhaps we could use them to try to trick the perfumed man."
They do see a malleable lot. If you think it's worth it, that we could extort them on their path to redemption, and I'll not hang them and wash my hands of them.
Very good call. Also, each one of you guys take a point of inspiration because that was just beautiful. So, so what is your plan?
Once the people of Kingsgift have got some food and drink and warmth around the fire, as like the sun sets, we'll take like a wooden plate of it and some like watered meat or wine up, and try and rouse the stranger and hear her tale.
Okay. So as you kind of gather, like the townsfolk together, there's 50 people. Some people are a little bit, a little bit tense, a little bit nervous, like, what's going on here? Like, we're being attacked, and why maybe we shouldn't have moved here. It's standard fear, right? You got townsfolk who, for the most part, aren't professional fighters. They don't know how to fight, and they just, thankfully, because of you guys, because of course they're extremely grateful. Many of them are thanking you and bowing and like kind of touching your shoulder, but in that reverence and respectful way. And which is a kind of a thing that generally happens in Middenheim. It's if you like, someone will touch someone's shoulder, generally with 2 fingers as a sign of respect. Think of it like a salute or a bow or something. It's just kind of a little kind of cultural idiom that they do. So, quite a few people are doing that and bowing and being very thankful. But a lot of them, of course, are also kind of afraid. Like you do hear some people, talking about, is this going to be a constant thing? Should we learn how to fight? Should we petition the king for more people, more soldiers? What's going on? It's just a standard kind of like a herd mentality of, panicked individuals. But as they get some kind of watered down meat and some other food and drink into them, even a couple of people even bring their own food in as well to share with everyone else. A few meat pies here and some vegetables and like some cooked vegetables and stuff. Other people bring in to share. It goes on fairly well, and the sun, begins to set. All of you guys are feeling, fairly good. I would consider this, like at this point, you guys have had a short rest. So if you guys need to use a hit die or 2 to bolster yourselves up, that would be great. Not mentioning names, Benjamin, but at this stage, it is getting on to dusk, and Thankmar comes up to you guys, because he's been in there with this young woman for quite some time. Comes in and says, "She's beginning to rouse," and he turns back and goes in. And actually, apologize for just a moment. You guys can talk amongst yourselves if you guys want to have a little role play moment. And if there's something important, fill me in. But I'm actually just going to be back in just 45 seconds. So sorry about this, but I'll be right back.
So just real quickly, so Ben is thinking that he's going to pretend to be Xandar and try to meet with the perfume man. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, basically.
Austin, yeah.
Since I have the disguise self and actor feat, so I can do the mimicry. So I thought that might be one way that we could try to get close to him by.
Right. Do we know how he usually would get a message to the perfumed man? If not, we should probably try to see if one of these cronies does.
We killed him, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was. I think that he was one of the examples we set at the end of last session.
Whoops.
Yeah. Oops.
Needed a little more information out of him, I guess.
But
I think we tried torturing him. I think Lloyd tried.
Oh,
yeah. Got nailed, and so he died.
So I wonder if there was some sort of way that a message would would Xander send a message? Would there be a message? Like how would they communicate to know that they're going to have some clandestine meeting? I guess is what if we could find that out, then we could definitely rock the whole.
What happens though if we find out a way and we meet with the perfumed man or his representative or whatever? The case may be, what's our end goal? We want to find out who wants to make war between the elves and people. Anyone who's an enemy of or is an opponent of the current peace treaty with the elves is a candidate for that. And let's say we found out who they were. They'd have to be someone of power and money to be able to get stuff like this done. So they're more powerful than us. So what are we actually going to do? Level charges against a count or Banneret from our outpost in the south?
Right. Well, I think maybe it'd be exploratory now. I'm thinking the exact same thing as you, which is that the perfume man is not the head of the snake. He's just one of its tools.
Fingers, yeah.
Right. So I think we want to just probably gather information, and who knows, maybe if we can question this messenger, maybe she might have information.
We could get Talrath to go north of Lake Vita and scout around the place and try and nab this perfumed man.
Yeah, Iskandar and Talrath both could go. They both move very quickly, and they know the woods and Lake Vita fairly well. We could send them out to scout.
And if there's someone out there trying to make elves look like thieves and murderers, then I'm sure they'd relish the chance to track that down and stop that.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they could even set out tonight because they see in the dark. No rest for the wicked.
Exactly. They have that advantage.
Hey, they could have shown up for the session and they could have made their own decision, but they didn't. So. Also, Iskandar's leg gets cut off because reasons. No, I'm kidding. So as you guys make your way, you're into the inn, you're up the stairs, and the two guards looking at you both, kind of they tense up a bit. Anyone who spent time in the military kind of knows that when an NCO or some type of higher mucky mucks around, for some reason, your whole body gets just a little bit more. You become a little bit more hardcore because you shoot up, your back gets a little straighter, and it's you want to look the part a bit more than when you're just at ease, just kind of relaxed. the one on the left side kind of reaches through the latch, opens it up, and says, "Lords," and opens it up, and you see Iskandar. He's already kind of seated by the bed. There's a couple other chairs there if you guys wanted to sit down.
Yeah, Leopold would definitely go in. He would have cleaned up from the battle earlier, not wearing his armor, still having his sword with him, and maybe wearing a loose kind of like tabard emblazoned with the raven, the symbology of the Raven Queen, which is a raven head. He would nod at Iskandar and take a seat on one of the sides of the bed.
And Iskandar kind of puts a hand, like kind of very gently, onto her shoulder to just rouse her. And you see her eyes begin to flutter open slowly, and then suddenly it's like, "Where the hell am I?" Being confused, she tries to get up, but she's still in a fair bit of pain. So she lays back down, and in a kind of a very dry, kind of croaky voice, is, Where am I?"
Easy, child. You're in Kingsgift. I am Leopold. He there is Nigmar. The elf is Iskandar, and the one standing in the doorway, Benjamin. We are Kingsmen. Who are you?
I am Ostrid. I was a guard to royal messenger, Lord. It escapes me, Lord Gaspar, from Middenheim. We were attacked. We were trying to get back to Middenheim, but we were attacked. Is there water?
Leopold would get up and go to a nearby table and pour some water into a cup for her and bring it over.
Thank you. And she grabs it and kind of sits up a bit more and drinks. I have a message, and she begins to kind of like tap at the kind of like where her like breast pockets and other pockets are. I have a message. I need to go. I need to get to the king. And she tries to get up and then kind of still a little bit woozy.
Yeah, Leopold wouldn't let her. He'd put a gentle hand on her, but it'd be firm enough to keep her in the bed. I don't think Leopold saw the letter. He was off doing something. He was seeing to something else. So when she mentions the letter, he would maybe look with a raised eyebrow at Thankmar.
I'll produce the letter, still sealed, and hand it over to her and say, "I kept it safe through your convalescence."
Thank you. And she reaches up and takes the letter kind of quickly, by like not like rudely, but just like, "That's really important. I need to hold that." And she kind of tucks it back into kind of a pocket. It is important that I get this to Middenheim, to the king. He needs to see this. It is dark times are coming. Where is Kingsgift?
You're south of Lake Veda, upon the coastal crossroads.
Huh.
West of the, was it the Stairwater or whatever was mentioned?
Yeah, it'd be west of Let me pull up that map. Come here, you little bastard. There we go.
Yeah, I'd
so
tell her she's obviously of the region, so I'd tell her like where she is, give her landmarks and an idea.
Yeah, and she kind of blinks for a moment. I have been in Eastport for a couple of weeks. I don't remember. I've heard that the war had ended, but I did not know they built some town here. Is it fortified?
Nope.
Leopold shakes his head. He says it's the makings of a town, but early makings yet.
Does anyone like to be following you?
Yeah. Quick question, yeah. Mike. Do we know the gentleman that she mentioned, the king's messenger that she served? Have we heard his name before?
I mean, if you want to try and make a roll, you can, but it would be a pretty high history check.
Yeah.
To know, and even then,
I'm not going to bother. I'm a mercenary. I probably wouldn't have paid much attention to stuff like that anyways, but I don't know. I didn't know if the others want to.
I'm going to try just because I think I'd be kind of keyed into politics and whatnot. So I'm going to at least give it a shot.
Sounds good.
And let's see, what's my history? All right. It's only a 2 + 2, so we'll see. And I got, hey, that's a 19 overall.
Okay. So with that roll, I will say that you have heard of like at least a Lord Bardolph, at least in the circles of the like kind of kingdom of Barra, the nobility. They were a very strong family, most notably like during during the inception of the kingdom. You would know that the Bardolphs did a lot of work in securing King Barras to the throne, to ensure, as there were a lot of petty squabbles, a lot of petty kingdoms and duchies and counties that all kind of fought together. But most people stood alone, but it was through the Bardolphs that the Barras, kind of came into power. And for that, there was always been like a family kinship between them. However, even the Bardolphs had since like kind of, they're not as strong as they had used to have been. So now, like more and more family members were just getting like minor roles. So whereas this Gaspar individual, he was seen as a king's messenger, but he was also kind of seen as a, hey, go be an ambassador over there. Go to Eastport. Just go. You don't have to leave happy. You don't have to leave angry, but just leave. So it's kind of a way to get rid of.
Yeah. So, yeah, Benjamin was saying, connected and generally rather loyal. Not quite as strong as they used to be, but it's a good family from what I've heard.
I don't know what happened to him. There were 3 of us. We were almost taken at Eastport. One of our numbers were killed. We had left. We tried to make our way over. I lost 2 friends in the journey. Something bad is happening out of East Shore. Something terrible.
I'm sorry for your losses, but tell me, because I need to know. Should we start setting up defenses right now?
I don't know. I'm just a guard. I'm just a soldier. I don't.
Who was pursuing you in Eastport?
I should not be talking to you about this. This is important. It's for the should be for the king's ears, not for mercenaries. No offense. I mean,
We're
Yeah,
mercenaries no
speaking
longer,
of
but we
mercenaries,
have the authority of the king here in Kingsgift, and as such, I demand that you speak freely and tell us what you know. We work for the king in good faith and are his loyal servants. And if there is treason afoot, then we would be remiss not to know of it and aid you in getting this to the king. Be
You are-
assured, you will not be allowed out of here with this important message and your life, except by escort and with our assistance. There is many treasonous feet about of late. And the woods north of here crawl with bandits and disgruntled elves.
we were pursued by a retinue from Eastport. It seems that this Lord Bardolph had heard something that he was not supposed to. He bundles us up, tried to get us away. We were hunted down by everything. The griffins of East Shore, the soldiers. I had just made it out. I just made it over the bridge. They wouldn't follow.
Do you know the contents of the missive you carry, or who wrote it, and for whom?
It apparently concerns a move, like a chess move. The Duke apparently has been in talks with the Emirate of Azakir. A wedding. I don't really remember much more than that.
Why
But
did your
if
pursuers not cross over the water and follow you into these realms?
they would not, I assume that they are. They didn't want to shed
want-
blood on.
They'll stop just short of an act of outright aggression.
Especially not without the king's explicit permission. I mean, I have heard many groups.
Strange. Oh, sorry, you go.
She just says, I have heard of petitions by lords to gain more territory, or if there is animosity between two lords, sometimes they will make some type of contained war or a small squabble, border fights, disputes, but nothing like this. The Duke clearly does not want anyone to know what is going on, but I could see this being very bad for the kingdom.
Looks like we may need to accelerate work on the outer wall. We'll get you and your message to where you need to be. But you should rest and heal up fully before you leave. We'll send some of our men with you.
And she slowly kind of nods her head. Like even though she has slept for, quite a few hours, she's still just utterly exhausted, bags under her eyes. She just seems very, very tired. and she nods her head kind of as she's closing her eyes and kind of leaning back, and she kind of just passes out again. And for now, you guys are kind of alone, at least in that regard.
Benjamin will just turn to the men with him and, what in the nine hells are we gonna do about that?
We can do two things: give her all of our help, or stop her at all costs. If you're truly loyal to the king, then you already know what we must do. But from a tactical perspective, if this insurrection or coup is successful, we've aided or tried to like halt or stifle these plans, and we find ourselves on the wrong end of it, then our lives are worthless. And we'll likely be killed by those traitorous dogs from the east. There's no way this woman will survive a trip north. There's no guarantee that she'll make it all the way.
I know where my bread is buttered, and I say we get that message delivered to the king.
I agree.
Yeah. Leopold nods in steadfast agreement with you, Benjamin. We will make sure that she makes it there.
We could give her an escort of guards. Oh, you go.
I was going to say, I do not hold much with royalty, but this king, he has treated us fairly. I'll not have one of my first acts be to betray him for sure.
So we can give him an escort of guards of Ostrith, an escort of guards to go north, but that would leave our town weakened. Or we could go and escort her, but then we'd leave our town leaderless.
We do have an option. We were going to send both of the elves north to scout, but we could send Talarath to do that, where he's the more proficient scout, and Iskander has already proven time and time again that he has the mettle to lead and to keep the town safe.
Yeah, I mean, you do have the option of leaving Iskandar here, or at least in Kingsgift, to to look over things while the three of you go.
So I'm looking at the map, Mike. What would be the quickest route to Middenheim from Kingsgift? Does it look like there's a direct route any way you slice it? Either you're heading north to past Lake Vita, or you're heading west.
Yeah, I mean, you could go north to obviously skirt around Lake Vita, and then then it's on to Forgemont, or at least you can go up to kind of like the T junction near Lake Mora. If you went east, you'd go to Forgemont. If you went west, you'd eventually cross another bridge over the river and go right to Middenheim. So I mean, there's that way. Conversely, you could go west across the Hana Bridge to Sunlit Shoals, and then try and like skirt around the coast, going up to Middenheim that way. So I mean, you could go meet your neighbors to the west. Or that's essentially it, unless you wanted to try and skip around going through Sunlit Shoals, try to cut through the western forest, or cut through the forest on the western side of Lake Vita and the river, trying to go up that way to save time, and then go straight to Middenheim that way. So I mean, you got a few options. One option that you don't have is giant eagles. So, shit happens.
That's level 5, right? Giant eagles.
6? Yeah, 6, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. Next session.
Well, we definitely have some a conversation to have. And I guess as Ostrid is now given back to her rest, Leopold would rise and start to walk from the room, maybe give a reassuring hand on to Iskander's shoulder. And because I imagine he's still sitting vigil over her, just in case. And he would just whisper to him, he'd say, "Get us if she awakes again, or she says anything new." And he's probably going to go downstairs to get a drink. Just kind of ponder over what has kind of been laid at their feet. I mean, I think that we got to, at least what he's thinking is we got some big decisions to make, and I'm not one to rush into big decisions. So.
And I think that's a very wise idea. So as you head downstairs, Iskander nods his head, and he kind of gets up as well just to let her sleep, and kind of leaves with you and heads downstairs. He sits down at a table. Malser, the temporary innkeeper, he kind of wanders down, puts forth a pitcher of non-watered down mead in front of you because he's smart. He knows where he's going in life. So he sets that down. Also, he looks and says, "If you want," and he puts down kind of a tray of of some dried meats. Kind of dried sausage, dried meats, some crackers, or at least some type of hardtack, a few kind of rinds of cheese, kind of on the on a plate. And he says, "Full due respect, I think I might turn in for the night. Place is clean, and you know where the meat is, and the wine, and the ale." And then he turns around and he just kind of leaves you in.
Yeah, with a mouth already full of meats and cheeses, Benjamin says, "Yeah, I'll take care of it. Thank you. Have a good night."
Leopold, after just finishing, he fills his cup, and then he fills another and slides it over to Benjamin. He looks to Thankmar and to the empty seat, and he starts to pour him a cup as well.
I'll drink deeply and then wipe the froth from my mustache with my forearm and say, "We should take the most direct route to Middenheim and avoid major centers and well-traveled roads. If there are agents about on behalf of these treason doers, they'll be crawling along the roadways. And already there are so many moving parts to this that to interact at towns and whatnot would bog us down even more, I think, and make the message that much older when it needs to be as hasty as possible that the king receives this information, to my mind. More important than our responsibility to find out the Perfumed Man and the Bronze-Fanged clan, conspiracy to implicate elves in murder and brigandry. I think this supersedes that. This is more important. And so we should just prioritize it and head directly to Middenheim, even if it means cutting through uncomfortable wilderness and the road less traveled. But I'm eager to hear your gentlemen's thoughts.
All I was thinking was, if these pursuers from the east stopped at the bridge, it seems unlikely to me that they would continue on to try to find her and shed her blood within these borders. think the fastest route may be taking the traveled roads. We can just move through the cities and not stop, not delay ourselves, but just a thought.
That's true. They didn't cross over. It's strange that like traders would not risk like border infringements to keep quiet their conspiracy to coup. So I
Well,
wonder, like, at what point these guys like are able to, or like they're willing to let bits of their ploy be known or not. Like they're happy to murder people along the road in their own realm, but they won't cross over a bridge into our like rural backwater.
well, if one of them falls and they aren't able to retrieve the body,
Then they're implicated. Yeah,
implicated in an act of war.
trees.
Great.
Treason.
So Leopold's been listening to your conversations. He's just kind of turning his cup slowly in his hands. He hasn't even taken a drink yet. I hear your words, Benjamin, and but for the little whispers in the back of my mind, you don't know how deep these roots of treachery go. The men that stopped at the bridge, it seems, at least based on what, and he kind of looks up to the ceiling, kind of vaguely in the direction of where Ostred's room is, and he says, it seems that those were the Duke's men, clearly marked and branded. Does it mean that men more incognito? And he would probably kind of look, and he would point in the direction towards where they're housing these prisoners. We ourselves have dealt with treachery, trying to bring war again to our lands, and to blame the elves for it. I would not put it beyond this Duke, who I do not know, to have spies scattered about the road. It would seem that a more direct route, but a route less traveled, might be the wiser course of action. And then he takes a drink.
Talrath, who also is kept quiet, he's just kind of looking into his drink, watching the bubbles kind of like go up and down, and he kind of says, "What about Xander? I mean, if he leaves," and he kind of grabs a map and kind of like puts it down on the table. You say if they're camped here, and he leaves to go speak to this perfumed man, and he leaves and goes about an hour, or maybe two sometimes. Where does he go? I mean, he rides north, right? So if he rides north, what's north of Lake Vita? I mean, what's the nearest city north to that? And he kind of points, and you see at the very edge of his finger is the city of Forgemont, and it's there where we're going to take just a 5 to 10 minute break, just to kind of get up, let shit sink in, and yeah. So hope everyone's enjoying it so far. I'm having a lot of fun. Plots are starting to be peered into, and intrigue is starting to be intrigued. Fuck. Anyway, hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. I certainly am. I'm loving all these players. Gosh, so amazing. If only if Lloyd was here, I wouldn't have to put on a ridiculous Irish accent. So wish you guys a good one, and we'll see you guys in a little bit. So hi everyone. Just for everyone that's watching, just wanted to come on real quick. And if you're watching this and you're not part of a few of the um, Facebook groups where I was able to find these amazing players and where I like to hang out, definitely check out the One Shot group or the RPG One Shot group on Facebook. Check out the RPG Brigade and also check out Absolute Tabletop on Facebook. There are 3 great groups where you're able to find lots of people who are willing to play or looking for players if you want to engage in any type of tabletop game, role-playing game out there. There are tons, from D&D to Traveler to Genesis and virtually anything in between, because there are so many tabletop RPGs. I could be here for like the next 40 minutes trying to list them all off, and it's just not going to work. But it's a great place. It's a great area to enjoy just getting into the game and just having fun with other folks. Lots of discussions, lots of talk that in no way ever gets controversial. But
we all agree.
That's right. We all agree or else. But it's the internet for you. But it is a great place to hang out and get to know some really great folks in the RPG community. It's a good time. It's a good time, and it's a great group of people. So definitely check it out. So it's the RPG One Shot group, or the OSG, as many people call it, the RPG Brigade, and of course Absolute Tabletop, which is another big one. So definitely check that out. And I'm not sure if everyone is back yet. Is everyone good to go?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. How about you, Nico? Ready to thank Mart up? Not quite yet. Well, what we'll do is we'll just it's all pretty basic stuff. So it's basically Thankmar is basically just pointing right now, like just kind of putting his finger like right at the edge of Forgemont and looking around at the 3 of you.
You mean Talarath?
Oh, Talroth, yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Sorry. Talroth he's pointing, he's looking at the 3 of you and is just kind of waiting for one of you to say something.
Because now I don't even know my friend.
It seems this message to the king may take precedence, but that does seem to be the most obvious location of a meeting between Xander and the Perfume Man. So if we could pass through there.
I don't think it's coincidence. This is not the first time that Forgemont has come up in conversation. If memory serves me, I believe we had even talked about it before. And stepping out of character real quick, isn't that what I remember? That Forgemont, we had already kind of played with the idea of heading to Forgemont. I think if it wasn't last session, it was the session before.
Yeah, you guys had talked about going up there, and it was last session that you guys were going to go because it seemed like a fairly logical place for, like, if there's any type of civilization near Lake Vita, that would be kind of where they would come from. Perhaps maybe Glenhaven, but from what you guys know of Glenhaven, it's a small farming community of 900 people, basically like almost like a feeder town of food to Forgemont. So it's it's kind of it's your standard quiet farming village. There's no like big, like big kind of thing there. And Forgemont, of course, being a very, a much larger city, the seat of power of the barony. It's where the Baron has his throne there. So, it kind of seems like it would be the most logical place to go.
I mean, jumping back in character, I would hear Thankmars, and I'm gonna, once I've decided I'm gonna screw this name up, I've decided I'm gonna screw this name up. I keep looking at how to say it phonetically, Iskander. I would hear their counsel on this as well. But Benjamin, I think you are right. I think that would probably be the better path to take. We would not have the hardships of the wilds, but we would also have the expediency of taking a more traveled path and potentially striking two birds with one stone, learning more of this perfumed man and getting this missive to the king's, into the king's hand.
And Iskandar looks. Yeah, I'm going to be doing the same thing now. Iskandar nods his head curtly and looks to you, Thankmar. What do you think?
We should set off at night. This very evening. Travel swiftly. Take horses. With the blessings of the Raven Queen channeled through Brahm, we can continue Ostrith's convalescence better on the road than here at Kingsgift without the ministrations of Leopold. So why not set out?
And Iskandar offers to stay to kind of just keep a general watch on things now that there's a possible, like, quite real threat coming from the east. He motions to essentially get one of the kind of night guards, or the guards at least are going at night, to rouse some of the other guardsmen. He leaves the inn to go speak to them to start getting them prepared to what may or may not happen. If the three of you are willing to leave, like, right now or as soon as possible, your horses are being prepared unless you specify otherwise. Dundas Row kind of meets you guys at the crossroads going north, and has your three horses ready. He says, "Your horses? I was unable to find any more anything else upon this woman's saddle other than this." And he holds up a kind of what looks to be like a small badge indicating kind of a royal guardsman. I think she is a member of the Royal Guard. There's no more information. There were some berries. They're still good if you want them.
Leave her things where they are. We'll have servants bring Ostrith down and mount her up, even despite her state. If it looks like it could worsen her, actually hurt her more, I'm going to use my lay on hands. All 20 points of it if I need.
Okay.
to get her able to ride with us and make sure all of her goods are returned to her.
And I mean, she is injured, but just kind of giving her a bit of a top up. It's like just like getting an IV of pure caffeine. Like she just kind of wakes up and she just feels like 100 times better. And she looks back at you and smiles, and her eyes kind of linger on yours just for a bit. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. And she smiles and basically, like, she grabs the saddle, like the pommel, with one hand and pretty much just lifts herself like straight onto it, without even having to go into a stirrup. Like, definitely tells she's tough, and she's definitely had quite a bit of time on horseback. If we are ready, let us go to Middenheim.
I imagine Benjamin's like pretty well traveled. He seems like a bit of a journeyman, so he's probably the best to take us by the highways, the way that what he thinks best. So we'll like ride in around Ostrith, if it's okay with you guys, like an escort with Benjamin up front.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
How well does Benjamin see in the dark?
Oh no, yeah. If we're leaving at night, that might be an issue. I'm a human.
We're all humans.
Oh,
We'll
yeah,
have
we're
to
all
take torches. It's simple as that.
Leopold would say, I will ride ahead. I seem to see better in the night than than you. And
Another blessing of the Raven Queen.
And he would smile at you wirily, and nod.
Very well. We'll keep Ostrith safe, set a decent pace. Let's be off. May the gods bless us.
Yeah, and I imagine we probably only tell a few. As few people as we can tell our mission, the better, I think. Maybe the word. What do you guys think? So maybe for like most of the people, we would just have business to go and see the Baron in Forgemont as part of our charter.
Yeah, all of us each have different tasks that draw us away.
Yeah, I must check in with the head patriarch of the Raven Queen's temple.
Yep, so on and so forth.
Blah blah blah.
A cover to be rumor mongered amongst Kingsgift should anyone deign to come questioning. Just muddy our path.
And for the most part, people are just concerned with their own lives because, obviously everyone's still just a little bit jittered. People the townsfolk are starting to calm down more. And those individuals who have, who have like the most recent people who have settled, mason, like you have a mason, you have a carpenter, they've settled in and they're a lot calmer than they were when it just happened. And plus having that feast, made people like really a lot happier and a lot more comfortable. So they're just off kind of, doing what townsfolk generally do when we're not focused on them, like just, swimming around in an ether until you need to talk to them. So you guys begin to head out and it's, I would say like at this time of night, it's probably around, 9, 10 o'clock maybe. The road is fairly quiet. There's not a lot of, there's very little activity. Generally any folks who kind of deign to travel these ancient roadways, these mysterious ancient roadways, don't really, they tend to like either camp, to one side or another. And interestingly enough, it is during this time, about 2 hours in, that you do see one of these camps. And you see a horse kind of standing, kind of a small bedroll and a kind of cook fire, as an individual who seems to be wearing half plate is kind of sitting by a fire, just smells to be cooking like some sort of beef or some sort of meat up with some kind of roasted potatoes. So you kind of get this kind of nice waft of a cooked meal. He at first doesn't seem to spot you, as you guys are far enough away that you can't quite see who it is. You can tell, like you can see the armor, the light like shining off the armor and everything else. But as far as what this individual is, you can't really tell right from here.
But how far off the road is his camp?
Oh, maybe like 6 or 7 feet. Most people who camp along the road, they camp like right along the road. They tend to not like stray too far in. But he's camped on the side of the road that's closer to the river, not the side of the road that's closer to the forest.
Leopold would kind of slow down the trot of his horse a little bit, so he would fade back to the others, certain that they would see the campfire, but he would give them further detail in case their eyes were not able to see it. What do you think, Thankma? Do we try to ride past without his notice, or do we exchange a greeting and carry on our way?
Do we, at this point, when we come across this stranger and the fire, are we ourselves now in need of rest? Would this be like a convenient place for us? And also, like, where's the closest known campsite to this along the path that we've chosen? Like, could we avoid it and still find rest or succor before becoming delirious or exhausted?
I mean, you guys are definitely starting to get tired. You've been up since the morning, both with a fight and, dealing with Ostrid and dealing with the prisoners. So, I mean, you guys have been through a lot in the day, and you're starting to get a little bit tired. Ostrid, of course, because you've basically given her that, like, shot of Red Bull, she's just like, whoa, hi, like she's not extremely exhausted.
20 divine hit points likened to
Red
Bull.
We jived her up with all kinds of holiness, niceness.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, like giving her that extra bit of hit points, because for her it was mostly exhaustion, and she's slept through a fair bit of it. But giving her that extra bit of, instead of her being sluggish and sore and in pain, you've given her this like kind of like, oh, like like it's like if you're really exhausted and if you ever like taken a shot of pure oxygen. Or if you ever had a hangover and taken a shot of pure oxygen, it's kind of that, like your hangover is gone. It is, by the way, if you ever have a hangover and you have pure oxygen, you're welcome. So, she isn't entirely like very tired, but I mean, for the rest of you, the rest of you are starting to wear down a bit. And as far as campsites, generally, there aren't very many of them dotted along the road. It's basically whoever needs to stop, they would just stop, walk their horses, kind of let them relax. There are enough like few trees here and there to tie the horses up if need be. And generally folks would, make a fire, and for the most part, they're smart enough to, put the fire out so that, they don't burn down, like swaths of forest or anything like that. So, or if they started a fire, there's a river right there that they can easily put stuff out.
I'll ride up to the stranger and announce myself out of the darkness. Like, well, I've got a torch, so this guy would presumably see us as well. I'd say, "Ho, stranger! My blade's in my scabbard. May I approach?"
And you hear a young man's voice and. Yes, please, come and be welcomed. Come and be welcomed by my fire.
Do I recognize that voice from someone in Kingsgift?
You would actually recognize this voice that sounds inexplicably like a somewhat German accent. You know this accent to be from like fairly up north, kind of in the Barrett or from the Duchy of Suka, which is quite further up north than others. And many individuals in this region kind of have that sort of accent.
Okay. So we're traveling from Kingsgift to Middenheim. This guy is presumably not traveling from Kingsgift, but maybe to it, if like he's on the same path that we're on, heading away from Kingsgift.
That is correct, yes.
I'd like that to be a safe assumption.
Would be a safe assumption. You can also ask him too. I mean, but
I just wanted to work out straight away if he was someone from Kingsgift or not. And so if he's a stranger, I'll like ride up and introduce myself as Thankmar and ask him what the road that he's come from has held, any tales to tell. I'll get down off the horse and like take my gloves off and rub them together over by the fire.
My name is Sir Malbec, Sir Valen Malbec. I have come from the Temple of Bahamut in Forgemont. I was actually on my way to Sunlit Shoals, and funny enough, I have heard of this small trading post a few hours from here called Kingsgift. I was going to try and stop there, but I was so tired I needed to sleep. I decided to stay. If you would like to come share the fire, there's more than enough room if you wish to sleep here for the evening.
Would be welcome for it, friend. Oh, sorry, you go.
I was just gonna say, it would probably. My thing is quick. Just at that point, that's when the rest of us would slowly kind of ride up, I think.
More friends on the road. Well met. Please, if you are cold or if you are in need of food, I don't have too much, but what is mine is yours.
Much obliged, friend. We appreciate the hospitality. I'll dismount and get down next to him. Extend a hand, Benjamin.
And he clasps your forearm and like kind of like gives it a one good shake. Wayland, so Wayland Malbec. I am a warrior from the Temple of Bahamut in Forgemont. I have been sent on an errand, of course, because I am kind of new. But I did hear the call of the Great Platinum Dragon, and thus I am here. It is unfortunate, though. I wish I did not have to leave. It turns out that the tournament at Forgemont is going to be in full bore tomorrow morning. It's very exciting. The Baron himself is going to be in the melee. Very exciting. Have you ever seen the Baron fight?
No.
Have we?
We were in a battle with him, but I don't think we actually saw him fight, right?
That is too bad. The Baron is one of the best swordsmen in the entire kingdom.
Wouldn't have guessed, but that should be impressive. Perhaps we'll have a chance to see it. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's the direction we're heading, but he kind of looks over to the rest of his group, kind of in just a little kind of nod to them as if to say, like, don't say too much.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, Leopold would, I guess, be taking care of the horses, and he'd probably be one of the last to approach, and he would introduce himself as well. So a tournament, you said. Is this something that is happens annually, or is it new? Maybe. celebration of something.
Yes, the Baron's son and heir is celebrating his first or second name day, something to that effect. And the Baron wanted to put on a grand tournament in celebration of his son. I mean, if he has the money, I guess he wishes to put on a grand show. It does bring quite a few people in, so there is most certainly that. But again, unfortunately, of course, I had to be called away to go to Sunlit Shoals to do some small errand. They are apparently installing a new temple, and they need the devoutness of a holy warrior to bless it, and so on and so forth. And I just think the entire thing is ridiculous. But
upon hearing that, Leopold would kind of admonish the young knight and say, duty is not something that you should so quickly dismiss, young knight. And maybe at that point he would see the markings of the Raven Queen on him. He goes, we are blessed to be so chosen by those we worship. I've heard only good things of the Silver King.
Well, so as I have of yours, of course, the Platinum Dragon always welcomes the great progress of time and the rest of all things. And he stands up and kind of gives you kind of a bit of a half bow or salute as one, obviously one holy warrior to another. You're right, of course. I would hate to admonish my duty, but at the same time, it would have been nice to possibly even compete into such an event.
I wonder if it was Holy Bahamut who commanded you to go and oversee this temple's construction, or one of the brothers of your fraternity.
I'm not certain. To tell it truthfully, I am told where to go by the elder priests of the order, and I go. I never like to go under protest. I would never like to speak ill of the fathers and elder priests, but sometimes when I am alone on the road, I tend to get a little perturbed. But you are correct, and I apologize for my brashness.
Leopold's the countenance of his face would soften a bit. He would say, "There's no need to apologize, sir." Would you say Malbec? Malbec?
Yeah,
you said, Sir Malbec. No need to apologize, Sir Malbec. I was young once too, and the younger me would have wanted to fight in a melee rather than go on an errand as well. I am older now and more wise, and I welcome a journey over the strike of a lance more nowadays than before.
Yes, it is definitely it is exhilarating. A shame, though. I had heard that there were bandits upon this road. I wasn't sure if we needed to bring another person, but I did tell them that I probably would travel better alone, or at least faster alone. I thought I could make it all the way to Kingsgift, but it would appear that sleep had caught up with me, and I needed to rest. But from Forgemont to here, I heard nothing and seen nothing.
You made it only a few hours from the town. The council of that town seems to do a good job keeping the bandits free of this place. But it is a dangerous area, and you should certainly be wary.
Well, I have new friends to perhaps be with, so I shouldn't have to worry too much, I hope, tonight. Will you be sleeping here, or would you be on your way?
If you'll allow us, we'll take some unclaimed area not too far from the fire. So we'll be sure not to bother you, and we'll be leaving early in the morning, and our paths will change from yours. We wish you luck, Sir Waylon. Be thankful to camp alongside you. We'll look out for each other in case there are further bandits in these woods.
Certainly. If you would like, I would be happy to take a first watch.
I'd be thankful for your vigil.
And he bows and kind of like clamps his fist to his heart.
And I'll roll insight on his capability, on what I think his capability to keep a good watch over me tonight is. And I'm very confident in his ability, extremely confident.
The confidentest.
And I'll take off my helm and take the saddle off the horse and wash it down or wipe it down. There's a river nearby, right? So I'll wash the horse down.
Okay.
And make camp. Get maybe a second fire going, cook some food up to hand around to Ostrith, Benjamin, and Leopold. Before I'd go to sleep. I'm tired, I would assume, and a little wounded.
And during the whole time, Ostrith has said nothing. Hasn't really smile and nod when, if Malbec is looking at her while speaking, but generally, Malbec would be looking at all of you while speaking, as to not seem like they're ignoring it, just polite conversation. But Ostrith would kind of get just kind of keep back and keep quiet, just because, obviously bit tense. So as you guys kind of get all settled in and, you guys get all settled in and camped up, what would be the order of watches if you guys want to watch? Or set watches, I should say.
I'll take first watch after Waylon, and then maybe Leopold after me, and we'll try and stretch ours out so that Benjamin doesn't have to have his rest interrupted, because
he needs it.
I think he got hurt the most.
Yeah, he does need
So we'll try and stretch our watch out to compensate for him, so he just get a full rest by tomorrow, if that's possible.
Okay. So during
I'll take the midnight watch, and Lionel can take the graveyard watch.
See what you did there. So during the evening, for the most part, it's been, it's fairly quiet. You don't hear anything from Waylon. He doesn't shout an alarm or anything like that. For you though, what's he doing? Oh. For you, Thankmar, as it begins to wind down and get close to the time that Leopold takes his shift, go ahead and make me a perception check.
Shh. 9.
Okay, that actually. On the other side of the road in the forest, just beyond the light, you hear a heavy kind of crunch. And it's probably coming right across, but just a little ways into the forest, past any sight line in the dark. I mean, for the most part.
I'll look to the direction of the noise, and like crouch while I'm looking at it. I'll like reach down as if I'm picking up a piece of wood to prod at the fire, and I'll like turn my body to like cover the direction the noise was from, to grab my blade and begin to like pull it slowly out of my belt. And whichever of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like companions around the area that's closest to me, I'm gonna like begin nudging them with my boot, like not audibly but forcefully enough to try and wake them. And by like the firelight, show them my like body language, my tenseness, and like how I'm drawing my blade slowly and looking off warily into the woods.
Okay. Ostrid is a little ways back, so it's probably between Benjamin and Leopold, who's going to be kind of kicked awake. So I'll let you guys choose in amongst yourselves who wakes up first.
I rolled odds and evens, and Benjamin was like nearby, so I like nudge him.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Benjamin, his eyes kind of slowly creep open. Like, what's going on?
Shh! I do not think we are alone, friend.
He immediately starts to fumble underneath his bedroll, and he pulls out this little piece of leather. He just whispers something in a kind of quiet, almost gibberish tongue, and a little bit of shimmer spreads out over his back as he casts mage armor on himself and rises to his feet, drawing his rapier.
Wake the others. And then Thankmar is going to finish drawing out the blade from his scabbard, and he'll reach down and grab like a flaming brand or piece of wood, and then stand up and say, "You in the darkness, I hear you there. Show yourself." And I'll cast like the makeshift torch in the direction of what I'd heard.
Benjamin moves to Leopold and shakes him awake.
And as soon as you call out to whatever figure, Waylon Sir Malbec wakes up, and Ostrid wakes up as well. Ostrid kind of like scampers around, like grabbing for a weapon, and she just like draws steel fast and draws steel out. Waylon also wakes up and what's going on? What's going on? And he grabs his shield. And now you see him grabbing his shield is like it's like a kite shield, but it has this huge, almost steel, like this bluish steel dragon's head pointing left, which is a symbol of Bahamut. And as he pulls his sword out, he kind of gets in the position. What is it, friend?
I assume with the torch, I still can't see anything like as before. I'll say I can't see anything, but I'm sure I heard something.
And he's trying to look out, and like the forest. Normally, you'd hear like animals or even an owl or something, standard sounds of a forest at night. You hear anything, but everything is just dead quiet. Like not a single thing is making any kind of sound. And let's see, and as Sir Malbec kind of like squints his eyes and looks out. You see his eyes go wide, and he says, "Everybody duck!" And he gets down. I need everyone to make dexterity saving throws. So with that, all of a sudden, like as it's almost like a piece of night is beginning to coalesce into something coming out at you. The light of the fire, suddenly you see a boulder like going through the air, and each one of you manages to move out of the way, except for you, Benjamin. You're kind of caught into it, and this boulder just boom hits the ground, rolls, and slams into you. And it, let's see what we got here. And you get hit for 8 points of bludgeoning damage, as suddenly where you were standing is the boulder, and you're like just knocked back 10 feet. This boulder, though, that comes to rest is adorned with different symbols. But most notably, it's kind of the same symbol, but just painted in white in all like kind of different spots. And it looks to be a symbol of an eye, but it's like an eye that has like kind of a scratch through it, and it's all painted in different directions. You suddenly hear now, wherever this thing came from, the thing that hurled it is decidedly realized that stealth is just not a thing. And you just hear the and suddenly a huge meaty hand grips like one oak and just pushes it right over as this like large individual steps out, at least 20 feet tall. You see it's wearing kind of like broken up kind of trousers that have been like kind of stitched together and from like blankets and sailcloths and other bits, but it's all complete patchwork. And its belt is actually made out of small round shields. It's wearing its thick hide is covered in more like kind of tatters, and it carries this huge great club at its dragging it behind it. And through the great club, you actually see like two great swords have been pounded through it to make kind of makeshift spikes. This lumbering giant is just kind of staring at you, kind of like with kind of a half slacked looking face and drool kind of coming down on one end. And it goes, and he just comes towards you, and I need everyone to roll initiative. So, Benjamin, you are amazingly quick to react, even though you got this glancing blow from this boulder. You are super quick in the initiative to get up and begin.
Yeah, seeing the size of this thing and realizing that the spell he had begun to cast on himself had sputtered out as soon as he had let the words out, he tries as quickly as he can to actually resheath his rapier, which he barely held on to through that tumble, and he slides. He tries to locate his pack and see where his shield is. Where he was sitting or where he was sleeping before, and he'll make as much of a run for that as he can, and try to slip the shield on.
Okay, you are able to make it and get the shield in, but that's probably all you'd be able to do, unless you had something like a bonus action that you could get away with, or a free action. You know, if you want to shout
actually,
something.
I guess as a let me just double check something. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah. I'll actually use a bonus action to try to hide.
That would make sense.
Yeah, in the woods.
All right, so you just kind of like get out of the firelight and try and like get into a position where you can do what you can do. Leopold, watching him kind of take off, you spring into action.
So Leopold was just rising from his bedroll as that boulder came flying in, and it was only by chance that it missed him. So he kind of staggers to his feet, still a little disoriented, having just woken. But by habit, they just fought a war after all. He has his shield, but he's not wearing his armor. The only thing he's wearing is his gambeson. So there's that rasp of steel as he draws his sword, and he begins to chant. He says, "Goddess of death, reaper of souls, shield me so that I might bring your message into the world." And these dark, almost like iridescent wings sprout out around him, and they kind of envelope him. And then they just slowly start to fade. He's going to cast Mage Armor. I believe that is a bonus action spell. I'm not Mage Armor. Shield of Faith, and he's going to hold his action for when this large thing runs in.
Okay, yeah, because right now the thing is is probably about 30 feet away. It's not gonna it'll take one action to like move up and hit you guys, but for right now, yeah, it's
and
good.
Then if you would allow me, Mike, he's going to look over to Osred and he's going to say, "Girl, quickly make sure the horses do not bolt." And that'll end his turn.
Okay, Thankmar, you are up. I can't believe I actually rolled a 4 for initiative for this damn giant. Like, yeah, right on. You roll them shitty rolls, Mike. Yeah,
I'm not going to argue with that one.
Yeah. All right, Thankmar.
I'm going to use my channel divinity. I'm going to call on Cord, the god of battle and conquest, for aid in vanquishing this monstrosity. And I'll stand brandishing the greatsword aloft as I intone the horizon to this god of bloodshed. And the giant needs to make a wisdom save.
Okay. And what's
DC
the... Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Not with a 4.
Excellent. He's frightened for 1 minute. He gets to make this wisdom save DC 13 at the end of each of his turns.
Okay.
So he has disadvantage on attacks, can't move closer towards me. And I'll say, while he's stuck there, rain down hell upon him. For my interaction, I'm going to move to pick up a spear from like a saddlebag or like the camp. And that's all I can do. It's my turn.
Okay. So this giant now, he wants to move closer, but because of the group of you, he just kind of like basically swipes, and you said he can't come within 30 feet of you.
He just can't move closer than what he already is to us.
So yeah, so he just roars and basically grabs a tree that he's picked up and just kind of hurls it at the group of you, and all of you need to make dexterity saving throws. Again,
hiding in the trees.
Not you, because you yeah. So everyone but you.
Yay, because I for some reason suck at dex saves, even though
I did not make it.
Okay. So, Thankmar, you're able to duck out of the way. Unfortunately, Leopold, this creature's size just kind of taken you aback a bit. Perhaps never even seeing a giant before until now, and you take 12 points of bludgeoning damage as this tree kind of clips you before like flipping and kind of like rolling off into the river itself. Sir Waylon holds off, like kind of holds aloft, and he hits the sword against his shield, and it just begins to glow. And it almost sounds like either the beating of a dragon's huge leathery wings, or what you could imagine is not very many people. Nobody has ever seen a dragon in centuries, possibly even millennia, or the sound of just rolling thunder. And it seems that like this blue kind of energy just begins to crackle up and over the blade as he rushes towards the giant, screaming, "For Bahamut!" And he goes to take a swipe at this giant's leg, just right around the knee, trying to take him out. Oh, okay, that's pretty good. So that should be 3 of those. And you see him. He hits this giant hard. Like it sinks right in, and as he kind of walks past, he just allows the blade to continue on, almost to a point where you see him almost get caught into the bone of the giant's leg, and then kind of move quickly past, and then back again as he kind of holds the sword up near him. So he took a hell of a hit. And then we go back up to the initiative order.
Okay. So Benjamin would like to try to remain as hidden as he can and kind of move around the outside of this of the the lit, whatever lit area. Is there any sort of light illuminating this? Like we still have a campfire kind of smoldering. I'm sure.
Yep, there's the campfire, and then there's also the torch that Thankmar threw kind of near into that area.
Oh yeah. Okay. Perfect. So Benjamin kind of wants to just stay outside of the light, sliding around, and quietly drawing his rapier again. And he just wants to try to get behind the thing and move into position as close as he can to launch at it and start slashing.
All right, so you're gonna go in there and kind of give him a quicken.
Yeah, and then try to probably disengage back to the.
Sure. Now, because you're coming out of hiding to do it, you will get your sneak attack damage or sneak attack bonus.
Awesome.
Along with that, it provided, of course, you hit.
Yes.
So.
Well, let's see.
Big money, no whammies.
Ooh, okay. This isn't bad. This isn't a bad roll, and that's a +5 with it, so that's a 16.
Very nice. Yeah, that is definitely enough to hit the 24 or the 20-foot tall giant.
Awesome.
Better, because then I would never, stop making fun of you. Like, you can't even hit a giant with a sword.
Okay. So roll all 2d6s and a d8, and we got 13 points of damage.
Nice.
And I will use my bonus action to disengage and kind of dart back behind the second nearest tree.
Okay. So as Benjamin kind of just comes out, gives it a quick stab, and then kind of leaps out, it almost seeming like a blur. Leopold, you're now up.
Perfect. So I made a con save because of my spell getting hit. and I did make that. So realizing that this giant is pretty dangerous throwing stuff and there's plenty of trees for him to throw, Leopold is going to follow suit with Sir Waylon, and he's going to run forward and strike at him with the longsword. All right. That is 11 plus 15 to hit.
Yep.
All
That
right.
is enough.
And that's going to do 8 slashing damage.
Okay. That's 62. So yeah, this giant just roars back in pain as Leopold just kind of hits his other leg. And we were at Thankmar. Now Thankmar, at the end of the turn, the giant did fail. Which is why I put that in chat. So he did fail his roll. So he doesn't want to get close to you anytime soon.
I'm going to rush up towards the giant now that he's engaged with melee. Blade in one hand, short spear in the other. And I'll fall in like next to Sir Waylon and Sir Leopold. So there's like 3 of us in a line harassing it, all next to each other to try and help cover each other and heal each other.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm going to attack twice with my main action and bonus action. I'm going to definitely smite if I hit. So, damn. 13 and 9 to hit.
The first one hits.
Okay.
So, do you got that?
7, and that's with the smite. 7 slashing damage.
That's rough.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah, so I like slash into it with a overhead swipe, and then when I try and drive it with a second, like as it flails about in pain, it just like knocks my attack wide, nearly sends me flying, and my attacks hardly hurt the thing at all.
And yeah, the creature just roars back, and now he's going to make an attack, but he's just like going to pick, I guess, one of 2 individuals at random, and it is Sir Leopold. You see the giant come up with the great club and just swing down right at you. That would be a 23 to hit.
Just barely catches me. As
That dang it. All right. So you get hit for 20 points of bludgeoning damage as this massive gnarled oak, the 2 great swords that have been punched through it just miss you as you just get hit with this tree trunk swung by someone with arms like tree trunks. So you are hit. You were pushed back from him 5 feet as you just kind of like hit the ground. The wind and the will to live almost knocked right out of you.
Actually, it knocks me unconscious as it slams into him. And you would just see Thankmar and Waylon would just see Leopold just kind of tumbles off, and his sword slips out of his hand, and he doesn't move. Yeah, I'm unconscious. It's just enough to knock me unconscious.
And so the giant just kind of roars back again. Also, on its belt of shields, you also see plenty of these white pictures of eyes, and it's left. Well, now here's the thing, though. As far as the disadvantage for frighten, would that just be attacking you, or is that attacking anyone?
Oh, when you have the condition frightened, do you have disadvantage on attacks?
Oh, Well, then you know what? We may be retconning this because I'll roll again. I know the first one was a nat 15. Okay, so would a 17 hit you still or no? Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah, I'm not wearing. The only armor I'm wearing is a gambeson, so that's kind of like padded armor. So my armor class is 15. So.
Okay. So yeah, that happens. Because I don't know why I always thought the frightened. Yeah, that makes sense of the frightened condition. Moving forward though, that will do that smartly. So that's my bad. Sir Malbec is mad that another holy warrior, a holy warrior, had fallen to this creature. So he's going to shoot ahead, and he's going to rush up and try and hit this creature out of just a blind rage. And he does manage to just hit him. And you see again, he comes back and over and actually stabs right through the back of the knee. And you see the blade just kind of right through the front. And he puts his foot on it and just draws it out. The creature finally roaring now, it kind of stumbles to one side and almost gets on one knee, clutching its knee and just like roaring with pain. And then now Ostrid, through her kind of fear, she's like kind of calming down the horses, but they're starting to like kind of buck up and everything else. So she makes an animal handling check, and that's actually quite good. So yeah, she manages to like kind of comfort all the horses and kind of holds them down like this. She's like obviously put her sword back away, and then of course we come right up to you, Benjamin, at the top of the round.
All right. After seeing this thing cast such an impressive strike against one of my own allies, Benjamin will kind of steel himself a little bit more, resheath his rapier, step out from behind the tree, whisper a quiet word, and hold out his hand, casting Witch Bolt at the giant creature. So it's a ranged spell attack. I'm gonna get back to the D20.
13 is the magic number to hit.
Well, that's a nat 20.
Boom. Nice.
So that will work. And then it is, let's see. Oh, dang it, I hate this app. It resets every time okay. 1d12 lightning damage. In each of my turns, I can use my action to deal it to the target automatically. So.
Oh, in subsequent turns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get 1d12 this time. Oh, no, that's a 20. Whoops. Clicked on that.
You actually would do 2d12 if you got a nat 20. If you have a
Does it
targeted
do even with spells, though?
Yeah, if you use a targeted spell.
Yeah.
Anything you roll for, you can get a nat.
Oh,
and I was going to give you the option. I'll give you the option of either rolling and then doubling, or rolling 2d12.
Oh,
I'll give you the option on that one. There's no.
Well, I already rolled, and the first thing I rolled was a 12.
All right, let's double that. You know what? We'll double that.
Okay,
So
I'm fine with it.
Yeah. So you just well, tell me what the spell looks like for starters.
So, as he holds out his hand, there's this brief flash of lightning that almost seems like it's from above the trees, and then it lances out from his hand towards this creature, arcing this like several kind of tendrils of electricity into its back. And he actually kind of screams as this lightning courses through him a little more powerfully than he even expected, and uses a good deal more of his will than he'd been expecting, and he just like holds the thing there at him.
And so that was 24 points of damage. That's a big one. That is a big one. So this giant now is extremely hurt. It's just, it's like on its knees now, and it's just barely holding onto its club, and it's got one hand on the ground. Leopold, I need you to make a death saving throw.
I did. As Leopold lays there in the earth and grass, he finds himself drifting further from his mortal world. I fail on my first roll.
And just in your ear, almost just on the wind, you just hear your name whispered by this kind of soft female voice, one that I will butcher horribly because, I mean, listen to me. You just hear Leopold. And Thankmar, you're now up. Think you're muted?
Yeah, well, sorry.
Oh.
I'm going to try and stab into the giant with the sword and spear. The sword misses, and the spear will be a 21 to hit.
Oh, that hits all the things.
I'll smite with that little bad boy. Oh. 9 piercing damage.
Oh, that's not terrible. That's definitely something. So you
It's not nothing.
That's right. Exactly. It's not a 1. So yeah, as you stab into it, it reels back, and let's see, so 9. So that would be.
Now I used all of my lay on hands on the wounded lady, but I don't know if Wayland has the capability to do anything like that if he's a follower of Bahamut. But I would implore him, if he is able, bring Sir Leopold back. We may not be able to vanquish this beast without him. If you are able, help him, and I'll hold it off. And that's it.
Sir Malbec looks at you and looks down, nods his head, and goes running over. But as he goes running over, the giant kind of goes to make a swipe. What are those good old?
Can I put myself in the way so that no, I can't.
Yeah,
I know that I can't, even as I asked. But I would try to be like, no.
That's okay. The giant's club, kind of swings over, and Sir Wayland he's just booking it. And you can see the club, and you think it's gonna hit, but it's like kind of one of those, he's running, and then all of a sudden, he could feel the air off it as he runs and then slides over to Leopold, and you just see him grab his mailed fist and just slam his open palm down onto Leopold's chest. And Leopold, you just feel this sudden influx of divine energy, just kind of you just had this divinely inspired, basically those paddles, the EKG,
clear.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, clear. Whoa, hi. So suddenly, you just feel this inrush, and the wisp, the voice, this whisper that just seems inviting, kind of bringing you in, just fades. and even though you kind of have this smell, this kind of like in the back of your head, a smell of this like kind of fresh turned earth, you just suddenly snap back into it as you are healed for 10 hit points. So you're in the green, champ. You're in the green. Ostrid is still holding on to the horses, so I'm not going to waste time.
I'm just going to say that's good, Mike, because I pre-rolled my next death save, and that was a fail too.
Well, thank goodness for Thankmar. So we are now back up to the top of the round with you, Benjamin.
I'm just going to go ahead and use my action to continue to inflict damage on him.
Okay, so just roll me d12.
Yep, and it is an 11.
Jesus,
I like this app.
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding. So another, so again, so you like this creature is really, really hurt. It's it's spitting blood. It's just trying to like. It's actually even got to a point now where it's let go of its great club and it's just on its hands and knees, and just kind of like wildly like just trying to swipe to get you away from it, and it's just trying to get up. And we are now on your turn, Leopold.
So Leopold shudders awake, pulled back from the void. Sir Wayland helps him a bit. The shield still upon his arm, but his sword is just a little bit away. It's kind of like he still has this kind of effect going on from being clubbed, and he reaches out and grabs the sword, and as he gets up on shaky feet, it's one of those moments where the camera kind of pans in and his head rolls up and he just says one word. He just says, "No." And his eyes go jet black and like this smoke rises up from it. And sprouting from his back are two black incorporeal wings of dark feathers. And he just launches into the air as he is going to, as a bonus action, use his Radiant Soul as he takes flight and brings the sword down on this giant. And so that will, because I'm an Aasimar, allows me to cause damage to my foes.
Oh, and just a quick thing for people at home. I know you see that it says human paladin on his overlay, but it's supposed to be Aasimar. So,
oh no, that was a secret I was keeping. He was pretending that he was human. So I'm definitely going to hit with a 17 on the die.
Oh, big time.
And let me see. This is the first time I've used this ability, so I got to see how much damage I do. I do extra. You do equals my level, so +4 to the damage. So that's going to be +8. So that is going to be 12 points of damage. 4 of it radiant.
Tell me how you finish them off.
So I think it's one of those things where it's probably just shock and awe from everybody as all of a sudden Leopold just sprouts these rings and takes flight. And the giant is just turning its head and it's probably thinking to itself, time to go, time to run away, and it's at that time that the sword comes across and it just cleaves his cheekbone and it causes his eye to kind of roll and loll out. But the sword is deep enough that he hits that. It crushes right through the sinuses and catches the brainstem. And he just kind of alights right on top of this giant and drives the sword in that extra few inches as they both kind of collapse down together. That's how I'm going to do it.
And the creature just kind of like it seems to be staying up under its own power for just a moment, and then just hits the ground and kind of skids a bit and breathes no more.
The crackle of the lightning just ceases, but For a moment, there's a brief bit of static shock sort of sparking in the air as it fades away.
And and Ostrid just looks incredulous, just shocked that this huge creature is now dead. Like she expected to like jump onto a horse watching, like you guys all die and then just like book it as quickly as she could. But just kind of shocked that this creature was killed. Sir Malbec kind of claps you on the shoulder, Leopold. Well struck. Well struck. It's strange to see such a creature here.
Well, and Leopold would turn and he would still have these dark black eyes, and it's just like that smoke rising up from them. And he nods, and it would slowly fade. The feathers would kind of just shimmer and just drop and disappear from his back. And so he probably doesn't hear what he says. He's kind of lost in that euphoria of the effect.
Yeah, the Waylon kind of looks and kind of nods his head and smiles. Well, we have defeated a mighty foe tonight. Strange, though. Creatures like this should not be here. They should be up north, where I'm from. Into the great rolling hillscapes before you get to the most northern point, the land of the 5 clans. Strange. Is everyone else all right? Does anyone need assistance, help?
I'm fine.
What about you, Benjamin? Are you all right?
I think a couple cracked ribs, but nothing too bad.
Please let me help you. And he puts one hand on your shoulder and he puts one hand to your chest, and again you feel this divine surge of energy that you get healed for 5 hit points.
He kind of coughs again, sort of swipes down his clothing where it's covered in dirt with prestidigitation and just wipes it clean and straightens his collar. Thank you. Much appreciated. You're muted.
Of course I am. Well, I'm very glad that you are all right, or at least feeling better. Perhaps maybe be able to get some more sleep. Strange, though. And what do you make of this? And he points at the boulder with all these like kind of drawings of eyes all over it.
Sometimes travelers meet and profit by it. Shall we see what our journeys have in store?
What?
You mean that's not just me that hears that noise?
No, you're not crazy. It's a thing that's happening.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think maybe we lost Nick. That's what happened. Could we examine? Can we maybe investigate the this boulder, this with the painted eyes on it?
Sure.
Is that something that would be appropriate?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so as you make your way over, like I said, you just see
I'm gonna
this.
use my inspiration, Mike.
Okay.
Just because I think it might be something important. No, that's the best I'm going to get. 13.
Okay, and you want to make just an investigation check on the boulder?
Yeah, try to see if I can figure out if that might trigger some memory.
So, investigating it, it's a boulder. You see that it's been like kind of carved kind of in such a way that it fits very easily into this giant's hand. It's I mean, this giant was clearly fairly strong. So, I mean, it can pick up something that's, definitely heavier than itself. Each, like, the eyes have been painted kind of hastily scrawled, not with very good artistic flair. I mean, it's not realistic. It's just an eye, that's been kind of like scratched out, like whatever symbol this is for obviously is extremely important to it, enough so to not only paint a boulder that it carries around as a weapon, but also to adorn its version of armor with these eyes as well. Thankmar with a 14. That some Orcish clans have used this great kind of white eye before as kind of a symbol to its to use as their like kind of like banners to raise. Although historically, you haven't really heard much of orcs and giants necessarily getting along, but it has been known to happen.
I'll regale that to my companions as I look over the white-eyed rock.
And whoever else wants to make a roll, it would probably be a religion check. If someone else were to make, figure out what's going on with the eye itself and what its symbolism is, that would be a religion check. But
can I do a religion check as well as the investigation? Because I'm trained in religion. 14.
All right. With that, you have heard that savage orc tribes, orc tribes in general, as you think many of them are savage, generally would follow a god known as Grumsh, which is a single-eyed orcish god whose eye was plucked out by Corellian, the elven god, in a war. The orcs have never forgiven the elves for that, and will have like blood feuded with them, and have sworn to Grumsh that they will destroy the elves to remove this threat.
So just like Thankmar, Leopold would share that. He'd said, share that looks like the markings of the orc god Grumsh. This is the ill tiding indeed, as if there was not enough fell words on the wind. But now the orc tribes may be rising as well. Which I think, didn't Waylon had said something about not seeing giants this far south. And he would turn to Waylon and say, "Sir Waylon, that might be why we see this." And he kind of kicks at this big lout of a giant, and him coming so far south, or his like so far south.
As you kick the giant, you notice quite a few like satchels, or at least bags, on his waist. He's got that club. Like if and I don't know if you guys want to take a trophy or not, but of course that's also a thing too. If you guys ever want to take trophies from any of your kills, I mean, skinning a giant might be kind of weird, but an ear, a head, I don't know. Not
I don't
as
think
much
we
of
want
it.
anything gross like bits cut off this giant to put in fine in.
A toenail.
The only reason I would take anything is to see if we might be able to collect some sort of bounty on it. So I will pull out a dagger and slice an ear, as disgusting as that is, just to.
It'd be the size of a pizza.
Yeah, I was gonna say the ear would be like half this. It'd be the size of a halfling.
And it's a fairly large ear. It's probably like a good 12, 14 inches at its longest point. And it's like, okay, cool. So you do that. Any other sort of searches? You guys would find a few like knickknacks, like just like you'd find like a longsword that's kind of like covered in blood and it's kind of wrapped very haphazardly around a like this kind of like bloody cloth stained or bloody cloth stained this blood stained kind of cloth kind of as a makeshift little sheath. You find probably about a couple of bags of gold. So whatever he had run into, probably a merchant or something, an overturned cart. You find half a gnawed goat. You find a dire wolf like leg. Just like little bits of food that he just kind of like shoves in there for later. But you do find about 150, 200 gold on him. So, there is that. And you also find a strange piece of paper or a piece of parchment. Obviously too small for the giant to have been able to write. It is seemingly written in Orcish. So if any of you, nope, didn't think so. So anyway, so it seems to be written in some sort of chicken scrawl. But you do recognize the letters, as many of you are learned people. You do recognize them as like Orcish runes. And that's pretty much all you find for the most part. I mean, most of these critters, giants, they kind of travel fairly lightly, and just when they're hungry, they club something to death and eat the paste. I mean, generally, except for this time, in which case you guys thwomp that thing quite heartedly. And Sir Malbec says, I will spread the word of this. You three individuals really saved the day. That was quite impressive. But for now, we must sleep. In the morning, we will have breakfast, and then we will be on our separate ways. Thank you again for your help.
As either should be thanking you. If not for you, we might not have been quite as victorious today.
I think we must all work together to have good strengthening bonds between the Raven Queen and the Platinum Dragon and you. And he kind of looks at you, Thankmar. You seem to be touched by a god, but not touched by a god?
I'm blessed with some of the powers bestowed by Cord, though I do not worship in the same fashion as you, man. I have no doctrine or mantra, rituals or such. Perhaps he just loves me because I go where there is bloodshed. This land is filled with battles and contemptibles. And like everyone has been whispering these past days, war is brewing. Any fool can smell it on the wind.
What, not after the elves? I mean, what else? Who else would we fight?
Each other, of course, like we always have and always will. That's why Cord loves me. It's probably why Cord blessed us this night.
Maybe. And he kind of touches his symbol for a moment. And then you kind of see like the mirth kind of just fall away from him. And he kind of looks at you really closely. Well, good evening. And he kind of turns and goes back.
Sir, one thing. When you get to Kingsgift, go to the inn, find Mauser, tell him Benjamin sent you. Tell him that But I said it's your stay's on the house. Spend a little time there. Get to know it.
Maybe I will. That would be very nice.
Safe travels.
And you. And he goes back to his bedroll and goes back to sleep.
When Waylon gets like out of earshot, Leopold would turn to Thankmar and said, "What you said was not a lie, but your words were too cutting for the lad." How do I want to say this? Make him question his faith. That is not good. And that's what Leopold's just going to take from the whole gesture that Waylon did.
Okay. So I assume you guys are all settling down to sleep.
Oh yeah, I need a
Yeah,
little
definitely.
And I think that would be a perfect spot to end the session for tonight. Well done in beating a giant. Damn, sons.
We cut him down well.
You cut him down well.
It was
Got a
good.
bit hairy there.
Yeah.
And
I
thought-
knew when it hit one of us, it was gonna hurt.
Yeah, I thought. I was kind of worried. I'm like, and I was also worried that Lloyd wasn't able to make this session. I'm like, geez, you know what? Am I going to TPK everyone, and then Lloyd's going to feel like an extra special jerk? But luckily,
I'm glad that you still threw it at us though, because I hate it when game masters go, "Oh, I'm down a couple of players, so I'm going to change the account." Nope, give it to us like it is.
Yeah, I mean, originally it was going to be, like 4 giants striding atop of ancient dragons, but then I think, you know what, Lloyd isn't here, I better not cut it down a little bit. But no, it was definitely it was a great fight, lots of phenomenal role playing. So thank you guys so much for coming in. It was a great session. Lloyd, if you're watching this now, look what you missed. See, look what you missed. Also, you lost your right arm and your arcane focus, and you've been gelded. Yeah, okay. I think that's good enough to do to Iskandar. And I had to put on a crappy Irish accent, which you're probably going to chastise me for later. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great one. We'll be back again, hopefully in a couple of weeks or as soon as we possibly can with session 5. So until then, I wish you all a very happy gaming. And as always, get inspired.